Qui-Gon Jinn actor Liam Neeson has accused Lucasfilm of diluting Star Wars with too much content. Let's get into this here. He recently made these comments in an interview with Conan O'Brien after he was asked if Star Wars fans were coming up to him all the time. He said, "Not all the time. I mean, it is a cult. There's so many movies and spin-offs, among other things. You're diluting the whole thing. I think that's my personal thing." He doesn't kind of elaborate on this because he then kind of returns to the question. And he says, but yeah, occasionally, kids after a Star Wars autograph, and I don't want to give autographs right at an airport. Oh, look, it's not the kid, it's the grandfather. There he is. Or the dad, horn rimmed glasses and a beard, and they become 11-year-olds. And then he kind of moves on from there. But the point that I want to focus on is he's saying that there's so many movies and spinoffs, among other things, you're diluting the whole thing. I think that's my personal thing. This isn't. This is something he said previously. He spoke to this in a Men's Health video bit that he did where he's answering questions posed to him from people from Twitter. One of them asked if he would pop up in a Star Wars prequel show, and he said, no, Star Wars, no. As much as I admire them, there's just so many of them. So many of them now, they're like, I've lost track, unfortunately, but there's too many of them. Ironically, I think his comments echo the narrative that the Walt Disney Company and Lucasfilm were previously running with as their sequel trilogy began to significantly decline at the box office and Solo: A Star Wars Story actually lost millions of dollars. Back in 2018, The Hollywood Reporter shared with Disney CEO Bob Iger, many believe Disney should pump the brakes and not put out a Star Wars movie each year. Iger said, I made the timing decision, and as I look back, I think the mistake that I made, I take the blame, was a little too much, too fast. You can expect some slowdown, but that doesn't mean we're not going to make films. JJ is busy making Episode 9, which we know became The Rise of Skywalker. He went on and said, we have creative entities, including Game of Thrones creators David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. I wonder what happened to them. They're no longer there, right? We're developing sagas of their own, which we haven't been specific about, and we are just at the point where we're going to start making decisions about what comes next after JJ's. But I think we're going to be a little bit more careful about volume and timing, and the buck stops here on that. Clearly, the volume seems to be still coming out. We're getting shows more than once a year now. I mean, we're getting Ahsoka in the same year as The Mandalorian Season 3. So they're still putting stuff out at more times a year. So I don't even think they bought into their own narrative here, this idea that they needed to spread it out or create less. And I think that's a bunk narrative too. As much as what Neeson is saying is it's too much, I think what he's really saying is that it's too much bad stuff. But again, this is also something that Kathleen Kennedy said in an interview with Entertainment Weekly, I think back in 2018 as well. She says, we're going to take a hiatus for a couple of years, and we're taking the time to really look at where this is going from the standpoint of a saga. We're not just looking at what the next 3 movies might be or talking about talking about this in terms of a trilogy. We're looking at what is the next decade of storytelling. So as I kind of said earlier, the idea that the brand is too diluted because they're putting out too much content, I just think is patently absurd. You can look at the stuff leading up to Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. They were putting out 2-3 Marvel movies, making absolute bank. People were wanting to see it. There was no kind of problem with the supply there. The demand was extremely strong for it. The issue is clearly one of quality. And Lucasfilm and the Walt Disney Company are just not putting out quality programming when it comes to Star Wars. In fact, they've driven people away. They call their own fans racist, or their own previous fans racist. You've got the directors like Rian Johnson calling them man babies. J.J. Abrams is pushing the whole racism narrative as well, insulting them. The list goes on and on and on. And then not only that, you have this stuff happening outside the shows, but you have it happening in the shows too, where you get these kind of like mini lectures about how you should behave and stuff like that. And it's just absolutely awful and disgusting. And that's, I think people are just done with it. They're done with it. They realize that the quality isn't there, and they're moving on. They're finding other things to entertain themselves with, other different properties, because there are indeed more options out there. So that's what I think. I think Neeson is kind of right, but it's still got like a little bit of a surface level. It's a combination of too many, but that too many is the quality is just absolutely atrocious, and they now have a brand reputation of just putting out crappy product. And when you get that reputation, people are probably not going to go back to the same well when they know it sucks. But let me know what you think about Liam Neeson's comments here. Let me know in the comments below.
Subscribe for more.